This is by far the most interesting dual fuel pellet grill that I've ran to date. The Pit Boss Phoenix is a dual fuel grill that can either run pellets or charcoal. Yes, I said charcoal. And honestly, it's a very simple design because of these two key cooking components. But I wanted to push the Phoenix a tad to see if there's anything as a buyer that you should be aware of. I got my Phoenix before the actual consumer packaging was complete, so mine actually arrived in a crate. So I really can't talk about the packaging or the unboxing experience, and honestly, it was pretty much assembled, so we didn't really have to do much there either. But my guess there isn't still a lot to assemble on this grill, but I'd planned for at least an hour. I mean, it's a pellet grill. It's gonna take about an hour. Let's talk a little bit about the creature comforts on the Phoenix. The first thing that you should know is that you have 376 square inches of cooking space. You have enamel coated grates with 2 cooking components. You have your heat deflector and a charcoal basket / drip pan. One really nice feature is that you have a lid hook. So whenever you have to check something, you just hang the lid. And you also have an adjustable vent. We have a 16-pound hopper, which is borderline enough for an overnight cook. We have a pellet dump, which makes it really nice if you want to change pellets or if you're going to just store it. You have a cord wrap and this nice handle to pull this pit around. You got a bottle opener when you get thirsty. You got this nice little storage box when you want to hold some of your spices or your adult beverage. You have a PID controller that runs from 180 to 500 degrees in 5-degree increments. And it has 2 modes. We have the pellet mode or the charcoal mode. And it also has a primer button. We have 2 probe ports and it comes with 1 probe. And after you're done, you can put your probe right in this little storage bucket. On this model, you can also set the P setting, and that you can dig into in the manual, but it's basically, do you want it to smoke a little bit more or hold the temperatures a little better? One thing with this model, it comes with a front folding shelf. You don't have to go and buy it online. Pit Boss just gives you one. You have 2 tool hooks. They are kind of behind the shelf, but it's better than not having any. You have a nice bottom shelf and it's wired, which I kind of like because I don't have to worry about a bunch of gunk building up on the bottom of it. We have 2 wagon wheels and 2 peg legs. And for this pit, that's okay because this thing, it moves around really easy. The last thing that I want to add is that the Phoenix does have what they call a rapid igniter. And I did notice on the second cook, this little pit came up to temp pretty quickly. On every grill, you want to do what I like to call is a burn off. And this is pretty easy. Basically, all you are doing is starting it up and burning out any of the oil or debris from the manufacturing process. On any pellet grill burn offs, I always want to check to make sure that the auger is turning before I put any pellets in it. On the Phoenix, you got a primer button, and that makes it a little quicker to get all the pellets down to the fire pot. Once you get about a handful on top of that igniter, they're gonna light up. Out of habit, I typically like to start up any pellet grill and run them right around 250 degrees for about 30 minutes. Then I turn it up to whatever the user manual says, and then I run it for the total period of time that they suggest. Then you can shut it down, and once it's cooled off, you can get to cooking. For the first test cook, I wanted to quickly grill up some steaks. So I loaded up a chimney and I still turned on the charcoal mode on the Phoenix. This is when I realized I made my first mistake. I ended up overheating the Phoenix because it got way too hot, and that actually started to give me a little bit of backburn through the auger. So I hurried up and dumped out all the pellets just in case it was gonna backburn all the way to the hopper, but it didn't. I also thought that maybe because I put my grill grates in the Phoenix, that was constricting some of the airflow, and maybe that's why some of the smoke was coming back out through the hopper. It wasn't a big deal. I just shut off the Phoenix and finished up cooking those ribeyes like I normally would on any normal charcoal kettle. They turned out great, and man, I'm gonna tell you, that charcoal flavor on ribeyes is still my favorite. When we got our Phoenix, the boys actually said that they couldn't find any manual in the packaging. So on the next cook, I actually went online and looked up to see how you start it in charcoal mode. To light up the Phoenix, it is pretty simple. Just take out the heat deflector, put the charcoal basket back in, and load it up with some charcoal. Then press the C button on the controller, and that's going to ignite some pellets, and it's going to come up to a temperature of about 350 degrees. And that'll run the pellets for about 10 to 15 minutes, and your charcoal will be about 50% lit. After that, let's say it kind of goes into the shutdown mode, and the fan will continue to run for another 10 minutes. Finally, when the charcoal is all ashed over, it's time to get to cooking. Now, if you haven't done a lot of cooking with charcoal, it's always kind of good as a beginner to have two zones. One where all your charcoal is, and the other side where maybe you don't have any charcoal in case that pit is running really hot. Being where I'm from, I've certainly cooked enough brats in my life, so I just filled it up and let it run. Now, you're gonna have to be quick and rotate them often so they don't burst and flare up. Obviously, these brats didn't take very long to cook, but they were filled with a ton of flavor. One great thing about doing it the correct way, the controller is actually going to give you a ballpark grate temperature so you know what the temperatures you're cooking at. Now, it's not exact, but at least you're going to have an idea. Next, it was time to test to see how it would do smoking up some St. Louis cut ribs. So clean out all the ash out of the drip pan / charcoal basket, put the heat deflector back in, and then the charcoal basket sits right on top. Then simply press the P button. Dial in your temps, and I decided to run these at 275 degrees. Now, when I first started it up, it seemed to be kind of dragging, and it took a little bit longer than I wanted to get up to that 275 degrees. That's a simple fix. I just pressed the primer button, and once it went up 5 degrees, let it off, and then it held right around that 275 degrees for the rest of the cook. These ribs took my normal 4+ a tad hours when I wrapped to get them done. They had a decent smoky flavor and some beautiful color. And yeah, I'm a bite off the bone type of man. I mean, look at it. That's a bite off the bone. I don't like mushy ribs. It's got to have a little bit of a bite. For the next cook, I smoked up some of my favorites. I did up some beef back ribs. I gave these ribs a spritz, and I rotated them once. That was to help even out the cooking. Another thing I did on this cook, after each spritz, I rotated the lid 90 degrees. I did that just to get the heat and the smoke to draft out different directions throughout the cook. These cooked in that normal time of around 6 hours unwrapped, but they were certainly tender and juicy. Yeah, this cook made me a messy Marvin. I had juices running all over my face. This is a perfect time to talk about how important it is to clean up that drip pan / charcoal basket after any low and slow cooks, especially if you plan to grill on the Phoenix next. Pay very close attention to that drip pan. If you've got any amount of grease buildup on it, you want to clean it or you're gonna get a grease fire. Now, I've had enough experience with grease fires, and I knew this was going to ignite, but I wanted to test it to see how bad it would get. And it got bad after those 2 low and slow cooks, so if you see any grease, take some paper towel or some type of brush or whatever and get it cleaned up well. Now, another thing you could do after a low and slow cook is that you could turn the pellet grill up to around 300 degrees and let it just kind of burn off that grease slowly. Then you can just go into the shutdown mode, and after it's cooled off, take some paper towel and just kind of wipe it off then. After that grease fire calmed down and the charcoal was ashed over, it was time to grill up some burgers. Everybody around here loves a charcoal grill burger. And yeah, I did these hot and fast style, and the Phoenix was certainly hot. I had that whole charcoal basket filled, so I knew that I was gonna have to get to flipping quick. One thing I noticed about the grate is that I love it that it's enamel coated, because it certainly was easy to get those burgers flipped. But from all those hot coals, I certainly did get some really nice searing, and it melted that cheese quick. For the taste test, all I did was slap it on a bun and throw on some ketchup and mustard, and blammo, we got some charcoal grilled cheeseburgers. Yummy. Sometimes when I have guests come over and we're gonna cook up some steaks, I like to use my grill grates because they just look fancier. They look like Ponderosa. So I wanted to retest using my grill grates one last time to see if I'd have any more problems. Nope, not this time, and the grill grates easily got up to over 600 degrees. Of course, these ribeyes turned out great. I might have pulled them a tad early, but I certainly was happy with the sear marks. I just didn't really let them rest that long. I was hungry and I wanted to dive in. If I would have gave it that full 5-minute rest, it would have carried over and we would have had a perfect medium rare. We were leaning more towards the rare side, but they were still delicious. Now, because I still had a hot bed of coals, I decided to do up some hot dogs on there. You can never have enough hot dogs around during the week, especially during summer vacation, because someone comes home and they're like, I'm hungry. Well, there's hot dogs in the fridge, throw them in the microwave, heat them up, now you got lunch. When it comes to the maintenance and cleanup on the Phoenix, it's probably one of the easiest ones that we've ever done. Brush up the grates, pull out that charcoal basket and dump out all the ash, or take a paper towel after any grease. Take out the heat deflector and grab a plastic putty knife and scrape any debris along that bowl. And then grab your shop vac and suck it all out. Don't forget about the fire pot. You want to clean out that too. I'm guessing all of you are wondering what my opinion is on the Pit Boss Phoenix. Well, it's pretty good. I love the ease of use on either the pellet or the charcoal modes. Having the ability to be able to charcoal grill on a pellet grill is a huge bonus for me. I hope that someday they can come out with a bigger model, because I've told you already, I really enjoy charcoal grilling. But I like the ease of use when it comes to a pellet grill for smoking. Obviously, this is a smaller grill, but you do have enough room for a smaller family. It's also perfect for any of you beginners because it's priced right. It's not very big, and you can learn not only how to smoke something, but also learn how to grill. For all of you that have a gas grill and you're kind of sick of that boring LP flavor and you want to amplify your backyard barbecue fun, well, maybe the Pit Boss Phoenix is the grill for you. We'll have more information on the dual fuel Pit Boss Phoenix in the description below. But I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.